Good evening, good morning, depending on the country you're joining us from. Welcome again to our Agrifunding workshop. Welcome to the September edition of our Agrifunding workshop. And as usual, today's topic is unique. Today's topic is one that every one of us can relate with. We can all resonate with today's topic. And so I'm looking forward to the insights we'll be sharing on today's session, the contributions, the questions. I'm looking forward to learning from our speaker, our facilitator, and every one of you today. Our topic is unlocking agribusiness potential in Africa, the role of private microfinance in driving inclusive and sustainable growth. We all know microfinance organizations, wherever you are joining us from, whether you are in Nigeria, you are in Ghana, you are in Kenya. I'm very sure many African countries have microfinance institutions. So we would learn how they are driving growth and what they are supposed to do actually in the business space, how they are supposed to support businesses, small scale businesses, micro businesses, the role that this microfinance play in supporting and growing these businesses. So have your notepad close by, have your pen close by, take notes, pen down your questions so that once it is time for you to share your experience and ask questions, you would have them ready.
Okay, sure.
Please, before we proceed, I would like everyone on this call to mute so that we can all enjoy the session. If you don't mute, the noise in your background will distract every other person in this session. For our French participants, you are not left out. Join the French room. Now that you have logged in, join the French room. You would see interpretation at the bottom, at the fourth bottom right. Select the interpretation button, click the French, and listen to our French interpreters. You will hear the translated audio and the original audio at the same time, just so that you understand the context. But if you would rather just listen to the French interpretation, you can switch off the original audio and enjoy the French interpretation. Now, in front of you here, we have the agenda for today's session. We have the welcome, like I'm welcoming you now. So I hope you feel welcomed already to today's session. We'll have a quick poll about your understanding on today's topic. And you would also learn about African Food Changemakers, especially for those joining us for the first time. And even our regular participants, you could take for granted that you understand what AFC is about. But again, when we tell you what AFC is about, you probably may learn one or two new things. And then we'll have the membership drive and then introduce our facilitator and the topic, and the workshop session will continue. After the workshop session, we will have the question and answer session where you can ask your questions, where you can, share your own experience with microfinance of institutions, and our experts on the call will be ready to answer you. And then we'll have the virtual group photograph and introduce our next event to you before we close. So put in the comment section, in the chat box right now, we'd like to know how many of us on this call are ready to learn about microfinance operations and how they impact businesses, small scale, micro, medium scale businesses in Africa. So tell me how excited you are about this topic and what you would love to learn from today's topic. Like I always say, every time business people gather, it is an opportunity to network. So go on the chat box right now, tell us your name, your business name, the product or service you offer, and your location. Who knows, you may find a new customer today, a new partner, a new supplier. You may just find that person that business you've been looking for, that product you've been looking for in the chat box. So quickly go to the chat box and tell us who you are, your business name, your product, your location, and connect easily on the chat box. And while we do that, remember I have said to share, tell us how you feel. We would like to know how you feel about today's topic and the opportunity to learn from one another. My name is Ebere Oko, the Membership Coordinator, African Food Changemakers. It's a pleasure to meet you all on this call for today's session. And like you, I'm not the expert. Like you, I am here to also learn and take home one or two things. I hope you all are already connecting on the chat. And while you are doing that, please share this link to your friends to join this call before the actual training session begins. Anyone that you know this call will benefit, this session will benefit, share this link to them, let them join today's session. Now we move quickly to the poll. Like I said earlier on, the poll is to check our familiarity on the topic, microfinance experience, how the experience has been good or bad, and barriers to accessing finance and your expectation from today's session. So you see the poll up on your screen now. If you can see the poll, let me know if you can see it. And once you see it, please just start answering the questions. I see how many people we are on the screen, and I want 100% responses. So begin to respond to this poll. The first question is, how familiar are you with the concept of private microfinance in Africa's agribusiness sector? How familiar are you? Have you heard of microfinance before? Have you heard of their operations, their modus operandi, what they do, what is expected of them? Have you even engaged with them at all? The second question is, have you or your business ever accessed financing from a private microfinance institution? I would like to know how many of you have actually accessed. If you have, we would love to know. If you haven't, we would also love to know and maybe know why. In your opinion, what is the biggest barrier agripreneurs face when accessing private microfinance? From your own experience, not just opinion now. What are the barriers? What are the barriers? What are those struggles? What are those experiences or, circumstance you have actually, been in, with microfinance institutions, and you say, no, 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 I can't do this. Share those challenges and restrictions with us. Which area do you think private microfinance can make the most impact in driving inclusive and sustainable growth? We would also like to know supporting smallholder farmers, empowering women and youth agripreneurs, financing agri-SMEs for scale, promoting climate-smart agriculture, building value chain resilience. The fifth question is, what would you like to take away from today's program, today's session? Practical steps to access microfinance. Our speaker, our facilitator is on the call and is seeing this poll, so I'm sure she's taking notes. You would like to understand how microfinance institutions evaluate agribusiness. It's very important. Success stories, case studies from the field, policy and ecosystem perspectives, networking opportunities. So you have just 5 questions, and I can see just 33 persons, 33 responses already out of 96. So I need these responses. Come in. Keep the answers coming in. Let us know. It would help us. It would help us manage the tone or the focus of today's conversation, so that we don't talk amiss. So let us know how familiar you are with today's topic, and we would like to know your expectations of today's topic. So keep the responses coming. I can see we have 44 already. 45, we're going, keep coming, keep them coming. Remember, I said, if you're on the call already and you feel this poll, share the link to join this meeting with your friends, business partners, or anybody that you know this class or this session will impact their businesses. So keep the responses coming. We're about to end the poll. Just keep it coming. 51 responses out of 98. Keep them coming. 52, we're going. So maybe when we get to maybe 60, 65 responses, we'll shut down the poll and read the responses or the results of the poll. We have 53 now. Keep the poll coming. Keep the responses coming. Keep the responses coming. We have 58 responses already. And we are gunning for 65. We are targeting 65. So let it come. Let the responses come. Quickly, let's move so that we can move. We already have 100 persons on the call right now. So 65 responses will be a good number for us to proceed. Are you sharing the link? Share the link to join this session with your friends, your colleagues, your business partners. Don't take this alone. Share this with everybody you know. And please, as you're joining us, ensure that you are muted so that the background noise does not distract other people on the call. We have 62 responses already, 63. Once we hit 65, we'll proceed with today's session. One more to go. Who is that person that will end this poll? One more to go. We have 64 responses already. Oh, okay. So now that we have crossed our mark, we can now end the poll and see the results of the poll. The first question, how familiar are you with the concept of private microfinance in Africa's agribusiness sector? 22% of participants on this call say they are very familiar. Interesting. So I'm looking forward to hearing your own experience and sharing what you know about the microfinance. 49% say somewhat familiar. 24% have heard of it but not sure how it works. You will learn how it works today. 4% say they are not even familiar at all. They are not familiar at all. Number 2 question, have you or your business ever accessed financing from a private microfinance institution? 13% of the callers have said yes, and they have accessed financing successfully from microfinance institution. I'm looking forward to hearing your experience. 13% said yes, but it was very challenging. 27% said no, but they have tried. 46% say they have never tried to access financing from a microfinance institution. The third question is, in your opinion, what is the biggest barrier agripreneurs face when accessing private microfinance? 57% say high interest rates. I can relate. 43% say limited awareness of available options. 45% say strict collateral security requirements for microfinance. Okay. 21% say lack of financial literacy. 7% others. Number 4, which area do you think private microfinance can make the most impact in driving inclusive and sustainable growth? 33% says supporting smallholder farmers. I would like to add smallholder farmers, micro businesses. 18% say empowering women and youth agripreneurs. 31% say financing agri SMEs for scale. 9% say promoting climate smart agriculture. 9% building value chain resilience or strengthen value chain, really. The number 5 question, what would you like to take away from today's session? And I can tell you that our facilitator is online seeing this. So I'm sure she can, begin to put her thoughts together in line with your expectation. 43% of the callers have said they're looking forward to gaining practical steps to access microfinance. 34% want to understand how microfinance institutions evaluate agribusinesses. 7% want to see success stories and case studies from the field. So our facilitator, I hope you are very, very equipped with success stories and case studies from the field. And then 15% want to network. I hope you have started networking, our 15%. Go on the chat box and meet new people. Now let us proceed. Thank you so much for participating in the poll in today's session. Now we proceed with the rest of today's session. Team member, can you please take the poll out? Okay. Now let me give you a gist about the African Food Changemakers. Like some of us would know already, we are a non-profit organization. And we are committed to changing global narrative. We are committed to nourishing Africa. We are committed to strengthening the reputation of African agri-food entrepreneurs. We are committed to strengthening African agri-food ecosystem. And how do we do this? How do we achieve this? We do this by closing information and knowledge gap that exists in our ecosystem. We go out to seek for opportunities for you, information that would help you scale your business, knowledge help you improve your skill, like we would like to say upskill, to help you upskill. So we share this information with you, this knowledge with you, data with you, just so that you know what you need to do to scale your agri business. So you can call us a knowledge resource hub. You can call us an information resource hub. Our mission really is to help African entrepreneurs scale resilient and sustainable agribusinesses that feed Africa and the world. And we do this by providing training, like I have said earlier on, access to funding opportunities. These funding opportunities, we go out, search for these opportunities, create them, and present them to you on our hub. So may not necessarily give you the cash, but we'll give you access, information with which you can use to find this cash. We also, you also benefit from exposure, for your brand, for your business. So that means that if you are linked or connected with the African Food Changemakers, it's an opportunity for you to boost your agribusiness. It's an opportunity for you to become more visible to Africa and the rest of the world. You enjoy trade linkage as well through our marketplace and our community. You get to meet new customers, you get to meet new partners within your region and even outside your region. And very importantly, we'll continue to foster a vibrant community of change makers, because we know how important peer-to-peer learning is. Every businessman, businesswoman is dealing with one challenge or the other. Likewise, every businessman, every businesswoman has one success story or the other. And so when everybody is put in one room, the one who has successes can teach those who are struggling with one challenge or the other. Knowledge is shared seamlessly. Connections are made easily. We have, you see, the African Food Changemakers is run on 5 flagship, I like to call it flagship programs. or flagship or models. We have the Building Resilience Against Climate and Environmental Shocks. Is a training program for agribusinesses, agri-food businesses, helping them to climate or environmental proof their businesses. What does that mean? That means regardless of the shocks, regardless of the challenges that climate, bring or cause, your business remains resilient. You continue to become successful. So whether there's change in climate, whether the environment is this is proving to destroy your business, you learn skills, you learn strategies to keep your businesses proof from climate and environmental shocks. So yes, we have the Building Resilience Against Climate and Environmental Shocks to help you know how best to keep your business thriving against all odds. We have the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship. This is strictly for the women trying to build a strong, firm sisterhood of African agri-food SMEs or entrepreneurs run by women, women who are doing great things, women who are impacting the ecosystem, but nobody is seeing them, nobody is hearing from them. The Leading African Women in Food Fellowship is a program that identifies these women, bring them out, build their skills, and then put them on global stage so that everybody, the world, will begin to see them and recognize them and respect them. We have the Scaling Export program, as the name implies, the program that teach you about everything you need to know around export operations. Then we have the changing narrative. Remember that our tagline is African Food Changemakers, Nourishing Africa, Changing Narratives. Like I said earlier on, we want the world to begin to recognize African agri-food ecosystem. We want the world to begin to recognize our food, our products, and that is what the changing narrative is set up for. We tell our stories the way we know it, not waiting for the Westerners to tell our stories for us. We tell our stories, we tell our growth stories, we talk about our products, our food, the way it is, and project it to the world. And finally, we have a vibrant community of agri-food change makers, and you will hear that from my colleague in the next slide about how you can belong to our community. Without wasting much of our time, I'll call on Sylvester to speak about the benefits of joining the African Food Changemakers community. So if you have not joined, please pay attention so you can join us and you would learn how you can join us, what you stand to benefit. And if you have joined us and you are still wondering how to benefit from this, and still pay attention so that you can know how to jump on the moving train. Thank you so much. Sylvester, over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Very, very good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone on this call. Iberi has said most of it already. So I'm just going to mention just a few more benefits that you stand to gain as a part of our community member. So very quickly, for those who are already a part of the community, you can indicate in the chat box by typing "I am a change maker." And for those who are not also part of the community, you could also indicate so we can follow up with you on how to join the community. So very quickly, I will take you through the benefits of becoming our member. So amongst the ones Iberi has listed, here are a few more that you stand to gain as a community member. So like Iberi said, we scale up African entrepreneurs, agri-entrepreneurs to build resilience and scale up their businesses. And how do we do this? We prepare your business to enter new African markets and the global markets. We strengthen and scale your business. We also facilitate access to funding, speaking, and exhibition opportunities. And like you mentioned, we have a vibrant community of members across Africa. We are actually present in 49 African countries, and we have over 8,000 members spread across these countries. So once you become a part of our community or a member, you stand to gain access to a vibrant community of members from across the world. And we also give you access to the resource hub and the marketplace. And what do I mean by the resource hub and marketplace? The resource hub is a place where we do share our opportunities, ranging from funding opportunities to data to events to capacity building and trainings that you could benefit from. And the marketplace, as the name implies, the marketplace is a place where we come buy and sell our goods, our products and services. So we have a marketplace that once you are part of the community and you're a verified member, you can come online and display your products or your services and have people from across the world patronize your product. And we also enhance visibility and promote media engagement of selected agribusiness. So like Iberi also mentioned, through the changing narratives, we select a few of our agripreneurs who are part of the community members, and we spotlight them on our various social media platforms, our Instagram, our Facebooks, LinkedIn, and the likes of the social media networks. So we also give you access to exclusive networking events and global market linkages. So on the slide, you can see how the community looks like, the dashboard, the marketplace and the community looks like. And once you join the community, you stand to gain most of these benefits that I've mentioned. These are just a few. There are many others that you stand to gain when you join the community. So very quickly, I will take you through how to join the community. So first off, you have to have a device, maybe your laptop, your phone, or your tablet that has access to internet, and you would want to go to your browser and type in www.afchub.org on the search bar. And once that has loaded, you click on the Join the Community icon on the home page. The Join the Community icon is a very big and bold icon on the home page. You will see it is towards your left, somewhere in the middle of the page. And once you click on that, the page loads, and then you get a drop down of questions that you would answer. And these questions are to be answered correctly, as this would help us to know the kind of opportunities we'll be sending or uploading to you that you can benefit from. And once you're done filling these questions or answering the questions, ensure that you click the submit button, which is at the bottom, the right bottom end of the home page of the page. So once you're done answering all the questions, you click on the submit button, and then it tells you that you have successfully registered. And once that is done, you get an email. Upon your submission, you get an email that, okay, yes, you have successfully registered, but your verification takes 24 to 48 hours. So once you submit your form, you get an email and you have to wait for your confirmation. And once you are confirmed as well, you would also get a confirmation email that, yes, you have been confirmed and you are now a community member. And you can go back to the afchub.org and click on the login and fill in your email address and your password that you chose at the beginning of the registration. And once that is done, you can now access your dashboard and every other benefits that we have in store for you. And the link to this would be dropped in the chat box by my colleague, so you could follow from the link, or also just type in afchub.com or .org in your browser. So for the criteria to become a part of our community, we have three criteria. The first, you have to own or work as a top management for an agribusiness. Second is the agribusiness must be in existence for at least 6 months. And lastly, you have to have a social media presence. And why is this important? You know, these days, social media is a place where we showcase ourselves or our products or our businesses, and it is open to a lot of people, and people from different part of the world can see your business. So these three criteria are very important for you to have before you can be able to join the community. So we'll be looking forward to welcoming as many of you that we can, and so you can benefit from the benefits we have for you as our members. Thank you very much, and over to you, Avery.
Thank you very much, Sylvester. Now to the reason why we are all gathered. I hope we are ready. We've had a lot of talk about AFC. Now it's time to learn about the microfinance industry. And to take us through today's session is Dr. Tessa Anota, the Executive Vice President, Livelihood and Social Protection Organization, also known as LAPO, LAPO. If you are a Nigerian, I'm very sure this acronym LAPO would ring a bell. Dr. Anota is a seasoned development specialist with over 20 years of experience in the nonprofit sector, driving community development initiatives across Nigeria. She has expertise in program management, strategic planning, organizational development, and performance management, a strong interest in qualitative research. For 18 years, she led performance management at Lift Above Poverty Organization. That is where the acronym is from, LAPO, Lift Above Poverty Organization, embedding a culture of accountability and impact. She currently serves as Executive Vice President, Livelihood and Social Protection at LAPO, and as Executive Director of AE Center for Social and Economic Development, focused on human and enterprise development. Dr. Anota holds a Doctor of Business Administration in Strategic Administration and Leadership, as well as degrees in Public Health and Health Education, and numerous certifications in Management, Research, and Evaluation. A fellow management consulting. She is also a chartered strategic and performance management consultant and respected facilitator. If I were you, while she's coming up to the virtual podium, I would be dropping a round of applause for Tessa, Dr. Tessa, and I would have opened a very clean, open part of my notepad so that I can begin to take notes. Now, let us give a virtual round of applause to Dr. Tessa as she takes the virtual mic. Dr. Tessa, over to you. Kindly take us through today's session in 20 minutes, and then we would have questions and answers for you. Dr. Tessa, you have the floor.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, from wherever you are joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon. I don't know if Can you have your video on? I don't know if it's just... On. Oh, it's on. Okay, fantastic. Okay, Tessa,
I was just going to ask, do I have my video on or off? Okay, so I can leave it on.
Yes, it's on. All right. Yes.
I want to thank AFC first and foremost for the opportunity to do this. I want to welcome you all, esteemed, great businessmen and women in this place. My name is Dr. Anota, which has been introduced, and today I have the privilege of talking to us about unlocking agribusinesses potential in Africa and the role of private microfinance institutions in driving inclusive and sustainable growth. Earlier on, I was just watching the poll and seeing all the responses. Some people say they have not had experience. Some said they had experience, but it was difficult. And some want to know life experiences from what we have done so far. As much as possible, we'll try to do that. Iberi has given me a tall task, telling me to do this in 20 minutes. I hope I'll be able to do that. But let's get it started. Thank you very much once again to everyone for joining in. What are we going to try to learn tonight or this evening? We are going to explore how private microfinance institutions are transforming agribusinesses in Africa through inclusive, innovative, and sustainable financing solutions. That's what we are going to learn by way of objectives. And then let's run through how we're going to kick this discussion. We'll try and contextualize the discussion. We'll define microfinance. We'll look at why agribusinesses need private, I'll call them MFIs going forward, microfinance institutions. So why agribusinesses need them. I'll look at the role of microfinance in agribusiness development. Then we'll look at private MFIs and sustainable growth. Next slide, please. Challenges constraining MFIs and agribusiness growth. Because someone said earlier on some of the challenges they have had. And of course, as much as MFIs are talking, they also have challenges. And then we'll look at unlocking agribusiness growth in Africa, how private microfinance organizations can drive this change. And then we'll take some recommendations, institutional and policy, conclude, and then we'll have one or two call to action because everyone has something to do. Okay, so let's start by contextualizing. Research coming from this year, 2025, tells us that we have about 8.2 billion people in the world. But the question is, what do these people do? Let's start from those that are doing nothing. All right, so 1.9 billion people are too young to work. Either they are between age 0 to 15. Then another set of 800 million people are too old to work. They are virtually from 64 years and above. And then we have the ones that are unemployed, either by choice or by chance or by circumstance, or 200 million are unemployed. Then 430 million are entrepreneurs, while 800 million work in industrial jobs. 1.7 billion people work in services, and then a whooping 1.4 billion people work in agriculture. So let's take it further to the regional employment level. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. No, sorry. The slide before this. The slide before this, please. Yeah. Okay. So now we've looked at what these 8.2 billion people do in Africa, I mean, in the world. Then out of these 8.2, can you go up a bit? I want to see the things written under it. However, what we are saying here, we're trying to look at regional workforce. By regional, I'm talking about the continents. We're talking about America, we're talking about Oceania, we're talking about Africa, we're talking about all of the continents. We want to see the workforce and how they employ. The yellow represents agriculture, the green represents services, and the blue represents industry. What we see here is that Africa, this slide is not showing the down part. Please, can I be allowed to share my slide from here so that I can control it better?
Okay, that's fine. If that's better for you, that's fine. Let me stop sharing.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so this is where we are. And then I was trying to look at workforce, regional employment by sector. We have talked about the three major sectors. Now you will see the yellow represents agriculture, the blue is industry, and the green represents services. If you notice employment worldwide, you see that Africa has more of its workforce in agricultural business. And so you see the yellow rising there, while the other continents have more of them. Europe has more of services, followed by America, and then the Oceania and the Asia, some of those ones have more of industry. Now, having said that, oh, why is my slide stop? Okay. Having said that, we'll see that agriculture is Africa's most important economic backbone from the diagrams we saw earlier on. Of course, it employs, like we said, quite a huge number of people, almost up to 70% of its population works in agri-related business and contributes up to 40% of the GDP in Africa. However, it remains underfinanced, with less than 5% of bank credit reaching this sector. Agri-SMEs face a whopping 90 billion annual financing gap, and 83% of this is unmet, as most of the banks that we know only allocate from 3 to 12% of their lending to agriculture, despite the critical role it plays. To bridge this gap, that is where private microfinance institutions, let me say, has come to the rescue, and such as LAPO. LAPO is one of them, Leads Above Poverty Organization, LAPO, and some other key major players. They have become crucial players, providing small-scale, accessible credits and allied financial services that enhances agribusiness potentials and strengthen financial inclusion while promoting sustainable livelihoods. So let's quickly look at what microfinance is about for those of us that say we haven't come in contact with that and we do not know that. So what is microfinance? Microfinance is actually the provision of small financial services designed to support low-income individuals, entrepreneurs, and smallholder farmers, especially in developing countries, so that they can start or expand their own businesses, improve their livelihoods, and become financially independent. Now, some of the features include provision of microcredit, small loans without traditional collateral. Without traditional collateral, financial inclusion is ensured, group lending models, individual lending models, and of course, it has empowerment focus. It's originally pioneered by Mohammed Yunus of Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. And of course, in Africa, microfinance has been known to become vital in enabling grassroots level growth and also ensuring that we have inclusive economic transformation. However, it has its own challenges that weakens its provision, and we'll be delving into some of that. The next diagram you are looking at is just showing how commercial lending takes large loans. Large loans, commercial lending by traditional banks that we know provide large loans, but these large loans are provided to few corporate entities. I'm sure in your country, you will know some corporate entities that receive those large loans and they are provided by commercial lending people. And then the agricultural has a missing link, which is that what you're seeing, a huge gap is missing there. And like I said earlier on, 83% of that gap remains unmet. And these ones are those collective thousands of farmers who generate employment in communities and who are deemed too risky to be funded because the business they do is risky. And so they are excluded. So microfinance loans are then extended to some of these numerous individuals into micro enterprises. So why do we say that agribusinesses will need private microfinance institutions? But before we look at why they would need them, let's see what are the challenges that they face in the first place that will make them need agribusiness, that will make them need private MFIs. The first one is the fact that they are faced with limited credit access. I'm sure a majority or some of us say will have had one experience or the other trying to access loans with banks. And why that is so is because farmers lack access to affordable credit, and that's because there is the collateral barriers. Commercial banks will demand collateral from you. Commercial banks will request collateral. You will go to any bank you go to, commercial bank, they will ask you for collateral, and the collaterals a lot of times are things that you cannot afford. And so it excludes agri-business owners and small entrepreneurs from commercial lending. And then it is also perceived as high-risk business. Agribusiness, a lot of times, is seen as a very risky business. And we all know that, talking from the natural disasters, you could own your fish pond and then a major flood comes and all your investment is gone. Or you have a poultry and you wake up one morning, a crazy disease enters into your farm, and at the end of the day, what you see, you wake up and you see that all your birds are gone. And so one thing or the other happens and the business is perceived as high risk. So most banks would not want to go into that. Of course, the weak value chains are also the limiting growth. So, what are the reasons why we need private MFIs? I'll call them MFIs, like I said earlier on. Of course, traditional banks, like I said, requires collateral. So we have other MFIs that try to bridge the gap, either through group-based individual lending or tech-enabled lending. And you have models. I mean, you have companies such as Lapo. You have your Money Point. Some of you are more familiar with Money Point, which is tech-enabled microfinance. Of course, microfinance has also shown to improve agribusinesses through the services they render. And then one of the other reasons why private MFI, I mean, agribusiness owners will need private MFIs is the fact that they have limited rural bank presence. There's some communities we enter into, and you discover that there are no banks at all there. And so the way they welcome the private MFIs are coming there is very enormous because they are there to bridge that gap. So limited rural bank presence is there, poor infrastructure is there. And then of course, women are majorly excluded a lot of times. And so they receive only 10% of the smallholder agricultural credits, and they represent a critical underserved groups. So now let's look at the role of private MFIs in agribusiness development. By this, we want to see how non-state financial institutions provide tailored credit and financial services to smallholder farmers and agri-SMEs so as to enable them to overcome their funding barriers and improve their productivity while creating livelihoods for them. The first one is to look at one of the rules, expanding access to capital. That's one major role that private MFIs will bring. Like we said earlier on, private MFIs can extend credit to smallholder farmers and agribusinesses that are usually excluded from formal finance due to lack of collateral, irregular incomes, or geographical remoteness. We talked about the hard-to-reach communities earlier on, where banks don't dare to go. We've known of some communities where banks were present, smaller communities, and because of the robbery, the lack of infrastructure for security, banks have had to pack out of that place. So the people in those communities suffer such problems of access to financing. And when such people go to the normal traditional banks, they are turned down because they have irregular finance to show. They do not have such collaterals that they request for, and so they are excluded. So private MFIs ensure that access to capital reaches such people. Then LAPO, for instance, we employ both group and individual lending and guarantor mechanism to minimize default risk while broadening outreach in rural clients. In Nigeria, if you're familiar with Nigeria, and those of you that are in Sierra Leone, you'll find LAPO there. LAPO is practically in every community in Nigeria. Of course, we have similar models in East Africa, and those ones show that women-led entrepreneurs also receive grants from such places and they do well. Another role they play is ensuring financial inclusion and empowerment. And this, of course, enables growth through inclusive financing. MFIs enhance financial inclusion, not just through the loans they provide, but also they provide beneficiaries, let me use the word beneficiaries or clients, access to saving. There are quite a lot of people that we have served in remote villages that have never been involved with saving. So when we introduce them to it, sometimes they don't even realize that at the end of the day, they have saved so much money for themselves. And by the time their loan cycle is closing and we give them back their loan that they have saved, the savings they have made for themselves, they are out, they are excited. Like, am I the owner of this money? And we say yes. One of the women that we did that to, she was just shedding tears. Like she didn't know she could save such money. So beyond just giving them financial support, we also help them to do saving scheme. And then of course the micro insurance is brought into agribusiness where the traditional banks won't do. So um, private MFIs bring in micro insurance and also provide financial literacy initiatives. There is also the empowerment aspect where women entrepreneurs are beneficiaries of private MFIs. Ordinarily, where you see some women in rural communities where they can access funds and they do not, some of them don't even have support of any kind. Some of them are either widows, some of them are from very families that are very, very poor, and yet they have families. The burden of care is mostly on them, the children, and other care people they provide care to. So when they are giving these access to these loans, it helps it helps provide developmental impacts and ensure they are empowered. The other role they play is supporting value chains as well as employment. In this aspect, you look at microfinance extending beyond the farming into the broader agribusiness value chain. Some of the microfinance loans given includes funding of input supplies, storage and processing, and of course, marketing. And so we also have the farmers' industrialization being improved upon through the rural financing that is provided. Of course, job creation. By the time you are able to provide access to microfinancing to that rural unserved or unreached woman or man in the community, he starts his business, he's able to engage others in his business. So there is job creation, and that contributes largely to rural industrialization. And of course, we talk about employment as well. Then let's look at private microfinance and sustainable growth. In all of these, private microfinance enhances or works support sustainable growth. One of the ways is by ensuring economic sustainability. Studies have shown that private microfinances boost rural incomes and strengthen food security when they enable smallholder farmers to participate in markets. Without even saying researches or findings, practical experience from some of us that work in it, you can see how the funds you provide boost rural incomes. By the time you go, you see food security is enhanced in communities. When you fund a woman who has a farm, maybe a tomato farm, and then you fund the person, you have more tomatoes in the community, you have more tomatoes in the community, and you have smallholder farmers, you have them participating in markets and the rest of it. And then, of course, in women empowerment and resilience in East Africa and some other African countries, including Nigeria, of course, private microfinancing has provided credit that has enhanced women's economic freedom and business resilience. You see that woman that, like I said earlier on, has no support and cannot even access bank funds. So she struggles to take care of her life, her family, her children. By the time such financing gets to her, sometimes they need as low as 30,000 naira. I'm speaking in naira now because that's what I'm used to. Pardon me, please. They need as low as 30,000 naira, 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira. You can't walk to the bank and say, I need a loan to do business and I need 30,000 naira. Most banks will not even entertain that. So at the end of the day, private MFIs are able to provide these women such loans, which helps them, empowers them in their families, and gives them a better livelihood. Of course, in Nigeria, LAPO's livelihood and social protection, agribusiness focused products help reduce dependency on informal money lenders. I'm sure in your country, almost everybody are used to some of these money lenders. Some of them are ruthless in the way they do their money lending. They give a poor family money. They give you stringent conditions, which they know you will not be able to meet. At the end of the day, when they come back for their loan and you are not able to return the money, you know what they do. Some beating, some harassment, and some even seize properties that is worth much more than that, thereby further impoverishing the family. I heard of a story of a man who couldn't repay the money that was given by this loan shark, and eventually the man took his 13-year-old daughter forcefully as repayment for the loan, and it became the wife, of course, the sixth wife. That didn't go too well. So you have such a private microfinancing bringing economic stability to the families, rural, smallholder businesses. Social sustainability is also another area, another role they play. These days, when you go to, if you're a member of the African Food Changemakers Network, when you visit their dashboard, you see quite a lot of loans are geared towards youth and women empowerment. You see many loans. A lot of developmental activities these days are going into that. People are trying to see how we can empower women, empower youth, and that brings social sustainability. So private microfinance bank is impactful for women and youth. And evidence has shown that, especially when you give them in group and they are able to, do their businesses in a group, and that enhances social interaction for them. You see women come together in the course of doing their business together. They are able to gist, they are able to chat, to share experiences. The burden, the load they carry is made easier because they see others and they share together. And so that helps in reinforcing that. LAPO's client base is predominantly female, and that is on purpose. And this also helps us to reinforce our role in women's empowerment and inclusive participation in economic growth. Then, of course, female-centered inclusion. That is majorly one of the things that private MFIs will do. Environmental sustainability is another role they play. These days, private MFIs are now going into green microfinancing models where funds are provided for renewable energy, for environmentally sustainable practices, climate smart agriculture. So you see that private MFIs are in the forefront of driving that. There was a woman we provided, she's into poultry business and always has a challenge of power supply. Of course, that will get it into her operational costs. So what we did was to provide her our renewable energy model financing. We're able to solar power her farm, her poultry farm, and that's brought so much joy, and it was given to her as a loan. At the end of the day, she has steady supply of light in her business, and it boosted her business. So those are things that can help. Of course, resilience and ecological balance, that helps. These days, people are looking at models that will be climate smart in agriculture, and financing goes into all of that. Then let's look at the challenges constraining MFIs and agribusiness growth. I'm trying to run faster because of the time I was given. There are challenges hindering microfinance effectiveness in Africa. Like we all know, despite their promises, MFIs also face challenges, and these challenges are systemic in nature. Someone says one of the challenges is high interest rates, and that is definitely the truth. Microfinance interest rates are often seen to be higher than the usual traditional bank loans, and this limits users. This limits is clients from accessing the loans. However, some private MFIs are trying to make it as small as possible to enable community members access. Lapo in Nigeria is one of those that when you access their loans, they have one of the lowest interest rates in Nigeria. But no matter how that comes, the private MFI's interest rate is still higher than the regular traditional banks. And that's one of the challenges facing microfinancing. And this is not far-fetched from the fact that private MFIs, before they could do business, they go into lending. They borrow these monies to be able to lend, do business with agribusiness owners. And that's because they saw the gap that traditional banks would not do. So they go get a big loan from the traditional banks at their interest rate, and then go into the communities, and they are willing to take the risk that traditional banks will not take and do business. So by the time they are also doing business to keep themselves sustainable and all that, the interest rate increases, and that's one of the challenges. The next one is over-indebtedness. I tell you from practical experience, these people that we want to help in rural communities or even in urban communities, low-income people, they become over-indebted. What do? They collect loans from multiple banks, they collect multiple loans. They juggle through multiple loans. Gets loan from Bank A, gets loan from MFB, and then at the end of the day, MFBA thinks they are the only one that gave the loan to them. And when it's time for repayment, it makes repayment very, very stressful. This woman is already, or this man is already over indebted to different banks, and at the end of the day is unable to repay. So it makes repayment very stressful. Then, of course, the limited financial literacy. Majority of some level of up to 30% of people that take microfinance have been known to have limited knowledge of loan management, and this leads to poor utilization, and a lot of defaults is involved. What we also see in our own work is the fact that you give a loan to a client who is not literate enough. If you don't provide literacy and financial literacy alongside, sometimes this person take the loan and use it for something else. We have given a woman a loan who got home, and the husband collected the loan and used it to marry another wife. And eventually, when it was time to repay, the business could not pay back the loan, and it became an issue for the family. So some will collect the loan and use it to buy what they need, believing that, as they are selling, the money belongs to them, forgetting that interest and capital is all involved. So you need to, the problem of limited financial literacy is also there. Then, of course, operational inefficiencies and limited outreaches. Some microfinance institutions people that want to do microfinance institutions, some of them are limited by operational inefficiencies. They do not understand the business very well. And so when they go into it, they face a lot of challenges and hindrances. And of course, there are some rural communities that are hard to penetrate, either because of infrastructural. Some of them, vehicles can't go there. Some of them don't have lights. And so private MFIs are able to, reach out to such people and expand, um, and the outreach is reached there. So we also have now let's look at how private microfinance can drive change in unlocking agribusiness growth in Africa. Number one is to provide microloans. They provide microloans. They provide microloans. And anyone in this place that's also into this, that wants to go into private microfinancing, that is one thing you must ensure you do. Microloans. Like I said, sometimes it may be as little as 30,000. We've seen a woman come to collect loan, and we were trying to say, how much do you need? And she just said she just needs 10,000 naira. And some of us in the room looked at that 10,000 naira, and that's why you have come for loans. Yes, somebody just opened the pocket and give it to her. We asked her what she was doing. One of those women that roast plantain by the roadside and sell granules. So she said she doesn't need too much money so that she will not misuse it. So we just gave her that. So some people will need as low as that, while some will need as high as 5, 10 million. So, but what is most important is they are able to provide those micro loans that is really, really needed in rural communities. And then, of course, provision of business insurance. Private MFIs are unlocking the growth of agribusinesses by ensuring that insurance coverage is coming into the business. Usually, like we said, traditional banks sees agricultural business as a high risk business, and so they won't want to, go there. They won't want to venture into it. However, private MFIs are bringing a change into that through ensuring that businesses are insured. So we partner with insurance companies to ensure that the person's farm, poultry, and all that is insured against all those natural disasters. We had a case of a man that we gave money to. He runs a cold room. Eventually, the cold room had a problem, and he had a challenge. He traveled also. Before he came back, the cold room had a problem, and he lost all of his birds, all of his chicken in the cold room. Eventually, we had to he couldn't repay. There was no place to repay from. But good for us, we had insured the business. So the insurance company came in and worked with us to ensure that. And of course, the person was refinanced, and that will help him bounce back again on his feet. So private MFIs are unlocking agribusiness potentials through bringing in business insurance into the business areas. Technology investment is also another area that private MFIs are doing and should consider to do for those ones that are into it right here. You must invest in technology. You must make loan processes easier and able to reach more remote farmers. So when you invest in digital platforms, Lapo invested in softwares that enables people to access loan from communities, and repayment is easier. And we also have some of the tech-enabled microfinance banks that are also doing that. So that's a major way of ensuring that we have more reaching more remote farmers. And then another way of unlocking this potential is by ensuring that supply chain and storage facilities are also financed. Loans are given for warehouses, post-harvest infrastructure, and this reduces losses and improves market access. So loans are given for all of that, and these are things that ordinarily traditional banks won't do for you. Then, of course, they bring in capacity building and market linkages into agribusiness. So you give the loans to your clients, and private MFIs these days are building training, capacity enhancement into their financial services. So, for example, Lapo, we do what we call extension services to all our clients. So by the time we give them a lot of advisory services. We follow them from the day they access the loan down to their last repayment. We work with them to ensure high level of success, because we know that in their success lies our own success. If their businesses do well, they are able to repay. And then, of course, the joint liability route is there. So where farmers will ask you for traditional collaterals, the private MFIs are able to give group loans. And the groups someone says they want to learn how it's done. A lot of it is done in groups. The groups are able to guarantee themselves. So you see people form into 5, 6, 7 groups, member groups, and they assess a loan and they form guarantors for each other, thereby eliminating the collateral issues. And then LAP also does, and I know other private microfinance may have started doing that, individual lending. But how do we do this? We do that through guarantorship. Individual guarantors are brought as collateral, to reduce the risk of lending. Then, of course, we try to align, private MFIs align repayment with harvest cycles. The banks won't do that for you. No bank will give you loan and wait for you for 3 months before you start repaying. Private MFIs are able to do that. So now you see a loan is given if your business has a maybe 3 month cycle, for example, those that are into fruits or crops of a kind, and maybe the cycle is 3 months. By the time you are harvesting in the fourth month, private MFIs are able to tailor the loans they give to you around your harvest cycles. So by the fourth month after you have harvested and sold out, you are able to pay back in what we call the bullet form. You do a one-off payment and everybody is happy with it. And then, of course, we also have loans indexed through weather situation and droughts. That's the latest innovation that private MFIs are bringing in. Then beyond the credits, I spoke earlier on this, so I will run through it. Beyond the credits, private MFIs are bringing capacity enhancement and tech. You see farmer financial literacy and record keeping coming in. Farmers are helped to build sustainable businesses through that way. Entrepreneurship support is given to agri SMEs. You also have digital inclusion. A farmer can do their business with you through their mobile tools in their hands, right from their villages. Agri-tech partnerships for smart lending is also there. We partner with agri-tech for data-driven lending. And then, of course, there is a public-private collaboration where we collaborate with agricultural development agencies to ensure provision of advisory services where you don't have all of the equipment to do that. Also, we look at strengthening value chain. That is a major part that private MFIs are bringing into it. So lending to people into input supplies are done, and processors, retailers, are being given. They provide credit to transporters, storage providers. These are being financed in their own different levels. And also collaboration, of course, with insurance companies to ensure crops, livestock, and all of that to reduce the risk of losses and closure of business. This way, by doing this, of course, they keep farmers, they keep these private businesses in business, and they ensure sustainability for them. Partnership and, of course, innovative finance is there. Then the inclusive impact that they bring into the business. Women farmers are targeted and they are empowered to do businesses even at their very rural level. And then, of course, you have youth loans. Like I said, visit the AFC's group. Each time I visit there, I'm very, very excited. You see loans are tailored towards youth, loans that are just for youth, loans that are for women, and this brings a lot of inclusive impact. And then food security is enhanced, agri-transformation, and digital policy, digital transformation as well. Then, as I'm trying to wind down, let's take some recommendations. And what are the suggested strategies for strengthening MFI so that they can provide this role of financing micro businesses in the country, wherever country they are? One of the ways suggested is by bringing in blended finance. The blended finance model helps us to partner with development partners, donors, and others to access funds that part of these funds can be given to business owners, lenders, as a percentage of it is given as grant, the other percent can be given as loan. That helps the businesses to stabilize. And so if people can partner with private MFIs, international organizations, governments, they are able to do blended financing a lot, and that really, really improves businesses. Digital financial services, of course, is there. We should be able, anybody, any institution trying to buy into private MFI must ensure that they invest in digital services. So your mobile banking app, AI-driven credit scoring, and all of those should be able to be invested into, and that expands your outreach. And then you must ensure financial literacy program is structured into your lending. This helps to ensure that borrowers are trained on budgeting, investments, repayments, so that they ensure that their businesses remain sustainable and don't collapse. So you also have to ensure that gender-sensitive credit products are brought into it, and then green financing, of course, by funding those renewable energy. And so at the end of the day, I have talked about, by way of conclusion, we have looked at the fact that agriculture is the backbone of African economy. We've seen that clearly. We have seen that it's the single most important economic activity in Africa. However, we have also seen that it's facing chronic underfinancing, and that is affecting smallholder farmers and, of course, women. We have also seen that private microfinance institutions such as LAPO have become instrumental in unlocking Africa's agribusiness potential by bridging the gap of rural financing, empowering women, and fostering inclusive and sustainable growth in Africa. And we have seen that evidences all across Africa shows the fact that transformative role of microfinancing in expanding access to financing, supporting agribusiness value chain, and also enhancing resilience. We have also talked about the fact that even though these private MFIs are doing a good work by ensuring that where the traditional banks will not get to, they are able to serve these people with stress. They also have challenges facing them, ranging from high interest rates as cost of doing business, over indebtedness by the people they serve, and of course the weak regulatory environment that necessitates reforms. Private MFIs are also leveraging digital tools, led financing and literacy, financial literacy, to ensure that the sustainable development goals are met and will have an impact in agricultural businesses. They also drive inclusive businesses by offering flexible financing, risk mitigation. That is very, very, very important because traditional bank won't do that for you. In LAPO, we know how much risk we mitigate working through the work we do with insurance companies, and that is very critical. So finally, we want to look at call to action. Everybody is involved in this. If agribusinesses must reach its potential in Africa, we must all work together. So all stakeholders should, for example, governments and developmental partners should be able to work together to strengthen and sustain the private MFIs to be able to do the businesses they do in supporting small, medium, and large entrepreneurs in Africa. And even the tiny business people that request for just a micro loan, they should be able to access such loans. And then PMFIs should invest in digital infrastructure. If you are here and you are thinking of going into that business, one way to make your business do well is by investing in digital infrastructure. And that way you're also able to serve the people well, like even at remote areas. Then, of course, we must foster cross-sector partnerships. Government and private individuals must work together. Private MFIs must work together. Sometimes governments have the mechanism, but private individuals are able to do the work. So there must be partnership for us to be able to do this business and serve our people and create livelihoods across Africa. And I mean sustainable livelihoods. And then you must prioritize financial literacy. Of what use is it to give a loan to someone who doesn't understand how to use a loan, and then they misuse it, and then you come back to get your loan, you don't get your money. Person's business collapses, your own business collapses, and so you must prioritize financial literacy for every of our smallholder farmers. Literacy in loan management and loan utilization, and that is it. Then, of course, I want to say, I know a lot of people here that said they have never accessed microfinancing. The truth is that accessing microfinance loans is very good, it's very helpful. It helps you to get loan to expand the business you are doing or even to start what you are doing. However, making good use of the loan is what's most important. Private microfinance banks, microfinance institutions are able to work with you and give you more loans when you use the one you are giving well, and your business grows and your business is sustainable. I know a case of there's a woman we work with in somewhere in Edo state of Nigeria. We met with her when she was hawking her food business on a trolley, and from taking loans from LAPO, within a period of time, she never defaulted. And each time you do not default, you have a good credit history. You are given a bigger access to bigger loan, and that keeps helping to build your business. From pushing her food in that trolley business, she opened what we call Mr. Big's kind of business. This big food chain. She now has about 2 of them. We had to assess her to Central Bank Award. Central Bank came to take her story, Central Bank of Nigeria, and her story became a major story. So if you are able to access microfinance loan, please access it, but make good use of it, repay back, and then they work with you to ensure your journey towards successful agribusiness is achieved. Thank you very much. And let's have some questions and answer. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Tessa. Thank you so much. Now, I want to see hands up. Okay, we can. A lot of people are clapping already for Dr. Tessa. That is a sign that everybody listened and learned one or two things from your session. It's time for question and answer, everybody. And remember, I said that you should. Oh, see, round of applause. Let me join. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So remember, I
Thank
said
you.
that you should have a notepad with you so you can take your questions. Now it's the time for you to read out those questions, share your experience, and maybe you can ask the question you've always had in your heart for and waiting for this opportunity whenever you see a microfinance expert, so you can ask them your questions. So let me see your hand up if you have a question for us. See your hand up and I will call you to ask your questions. I'm already seeing questions in the chat box. Yes, I would take them one after the other. So let's begin with Raphael. Raphael, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Dr. Tessa, and good evening, Admi. Hello, can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you very much. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, ma. The question is, I'm a coordinator of Nasima Edo State. I can say I'm dealing with about 100 plus farmers or 200 plus farmers and agro processors in Edo State. I'm looking for how we can partner together with your firm. Let's see how we can get some cheap loans to get phone and data. That's our challenge now. Phone and data, for our farmers in rural community. And they are willing to pay back because in our last discussion with them, they said we can help them to access finance so they can get digital phone and they can pay back instrumentally. That will be okay for them. And two, how can we access you? We need your phone number and your access so that we can reach you, ma. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That is a
Dr.
very
Tessa, would you want all the questions to come in back to back so you answer them at once, or you would answer one after the other?
I think I prefer one after the other so I don't lose anybody's questions.
Okay,
But
that's
I'll
fine.
try to make my answers very brief so that we can give room to others. Okay, so for the first one of partnership on digital phones and data, that is very, very possible. And it's part of what we do in ensuring rural development. So try and contact me after this meeting. We will work out a partnership together if you're in Nigeria. And if you're also in Sierra Leone, please look out for Lapo. Lapo is also in Sierra Leone. We can do business with you. For those of you in Sierra Leone, just contact me and I'll send you the contact of the people in Sierra Leone. Thank you. I hope that answers your question. We can do that partnership with you, definitely. And the
Okay.
contacts, I'm sure Iberi will drop the contact for everybody.
Thank you. Patricia, you can unmute, tell us your name and your country, and then you can ask your question. Patricia, is Patricia still on the call? She had a hand up and it looks like she's out. Okay, Babika, I hope I pronounce your name well. You can unmute and ask your question. Babika.
Okay, yes, hello and good evening, everyone. It is me, Babikir Othman from Sudan. My business name is called Nahlat, is providing different services for smallholders, farmers. Here I have now interest for building a digital platform for crowd investment for smallholders, farmers, to getting finance and some maybe facilities for producing in different stages of the cycle of production. Here, my question I want to ask the doctor, is better to the microfinance institutions to provide a fund or a finance with cash money or inputs for the beneficiaries that they want to serve with them, because we find some challenges that some people, when they bring or when they take a fund, they can't use it in the right way or on the purpose of the activities in production. Is the financial institution can provide inputs in kind or money, cash for those clients? Thank you. Here,
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, the thing is, depending on the microfinance and the country where you are in, you can assess the situation. One of the challenges you mentioned is one of the things I said earlier on, where you have people take loans and they do not use it properly. And so when it comes to repayment, you have challenges. So one thing you can do when you are assessing such people to such loans is to do a lot of follow-up with your officers, with your support officers from your organization. You give them the loans, you ensure you do your due diligence properly. You just don't give a loan to someone who says I need a loan. The woman that says it needs 30, that says I need 300,000 naira loan. If you do not go and do your due diligence, you will not understand that the woman may just need only 50,000 in reality. The remaining 300,000 and 200,000, he wants to use it for personal things. So if you do your due diligence, you are able to see that this person actually needs only a little fund. So when you put that small money in their hands and then you train them and then you follow them up, they are able to use and return your money. However, it is also the part of input financing. It's also possible. If you assess the situation of the people you serve and you feel that you see that giving them input financing is better, that is also a very good way to go. So what you do with that is the cost of the input you are giving them. When you look at the cost, you impute your interest rate into it and you spread out the repayments arrangements for the person to be able to pay. And that way, the machine or whatever you bought as part of input is there, and you can be sure that you can always get back your money. I hope that answers that question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tessa. Before I call on Bob to ask his questions, I noticed that we have participants joining us now. You are not late, don't worry. Just take note, listen to the responses and the questions. And if you have any question about microfinance or financing generally for your business, you have an opportunity now to ask, whether you joined us from the beginning or not. And if you're joining us just now and you are not part of the African Food Changemakers community, in the chat box, my colleague will put the link for you to join our community so that you can become a member and you can have access to Dr. Tessa even after this call. Now, Bob, please unmute and ask your question. Thank you. Bob Agbo, unmute and ask your question.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for this noble opportunity. I am Bob Agbo from Botim Consulting, based in Abuja. We're working with women in the share value chain. My question is twofold. In the share value chain, we have women that go out. The share trees are out there in the wilderness, if I may put it that way. And women go out and they collect, the share fruits, and they later process these share fruits and extract the kernels, and then sometimes they can produce share butter, but sometimes they can also sell. Now, we've been working with these women because there is this company that has established a share butter processing plant somewhere in a community called Kudu in Niger State. So my question is that, one, how can we partner with LAPO to provide these women with funding? Because we have what we call middlemen, okay, that go to these women, buy from them, aggregate, and then they sell to big processors, okay? Now, of course, they buy from these women at, would I say, at a very low and cheap rate. So we're trying to meet these women at the farm gate. And the only way to do that, of course, is when the women have access to finance. So how can we partner with LAPO to do that? That is one. Number two, the company, that's the company that has because I heard the facilitator, and great job you've done in your presentation, talk about empowering women directly. But my next question is, this company is ready to work, directly with these women suppliers. Is there a way the company can also apply for funding so that they can use this to augment their working capital and buy directly from these women suppliers? So how can we partner to ensure that these women suppliers at the grassroots get access to funding? And B, is it possible that LAPO will be interested in giving working capital to this company, which would buy directly from these women, empowering them and improving their income earnings? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'll start with the first one, whether you can have LAPO can work with you to provide access to funds to these women doing their shea butter business. To that question, yes, that's possible. That's a possibility. So after the seminar, you can contact me. We can talk about that. The other part of it is whether we can partner with that company to give working capital. So it depends on what the company is doing. We will need to have a more detailed discussion around that. So it's not going to be a yes or a no answer here. We need to understand what the company is into, how they operate and all of that, and see whether it aligns with what we also do. So there is a possibility if we understand what the company is into clearly, and if there are some questions we need to ask and some KYCs and KYBs we need to do to be able to see whether we can do business with that at that level. So it's not impossible. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think we still have 1 minute. Okay, I can see Dr. Haileni. I hope I pronounce your name right. Please ask your question, unmute and ask your question.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Though I've been in and out because of network, and I'm thinking this question might have been answered, but I just want to hear it for myself. I don't know. Of course, I want to convince myself that LAPO is doing agric loan, definitely, as that is one of the major things you're discussing. Now, what is the interest rate for the agric loan? Number one, do you have moratorium? Number two, because being that you understand what agric business is all about, it has a gestation period that's mostly may likely be more than 30 days cycle. Some like broiler farming, which I'm personally into, takes minimum of 6 weeks. If you're going into crops, sometimes it's 3 months minimum. So do you have any package like that? My name is Dr. Sambo, calling from Ilorin, Kwara State. Do you have a branch in Ilorin,
Okay,
Kwara
from
State?
Kwara State. Yeah,
Yes,
we
from
have
Kwara
branch
State.
in Kwara State.
Okay, so
All right,
what
so
is your interest rate? And then
your question I clearly understand, and the answer to that, earlier on when I was speaking, I provided some answers on that. Just like you said, maybe because of network logging in and out. The answer to that is yes, we have we give moratorium because we're into agribusiness and we understand that, like I said earlier on, we try to do, we have loans that are tailored around the cycle of businesses, of the harvest of the clients. So just like what I said to the other participants, you will have to contact me so that we have a more robust discussion and understand the business clearly. And in the course of discussion, you will get all the details. But yes, we can work together and we have a branch where you are.
Thank you, Dr. Tessa. Let me take some questions from the chat so that we can take care of everybody at once. I hope I'm able to pick the questions. So I'm seeing a question from Patricia. I think she's been raising up her hand, but she's having network issues. She asks, does microfinance give a period of grace like 2 to 3 months before repayments? I think
Exactly,
you have
exactly.
mentioned that.
That's what I said
So the
earlier on,
answer
yes.
is yes, correct?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay,
But like I
Ali.
said, it also depends on the microfinance. So not we don't all operate the same systems, but definitely LAPO will do that in our agri-financing business. We take that into consideration.
Okay, so Alik Gawirani is asking if they can find you in Malawi.
Ah, no, we are not in Malawi, but we
So
are
it's
in Sierra
just
Leone
Nigeria and Sierra
and
Leone
Sierra Leone for now. We are
for
working to
now.
enter into Ghana and Cameroon very
Okay.
soon, but for now we are just in Nigeria and Sierra Leone.
Okay, so your organization needs to start working, because if you are with African Food Changemakers, we are all over the place in Africa. So
Yeah, now that we are with African Food Changemakers, I would definitely take that back home. We need to open more branches across the nation, yeah, the continent. Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. Okay, I think Bob Agbo has asked his question. There is a question from Evans Okoth. Asked if Lapo is present in Kenya. They're not present in Kenya. Ozioma is saying a company is Gojeng Communication, and we have a platform called Gojeng Agri Connect that connects farmers directly to consumers. Can we access loan from Lapo?
Where are they located?
Not stated actually. Not stated, but this sounds like a Nigerian.
Because
This
it's
sounds like a
important we know
Nigerian.
that if it's in Nigeria, and that would be a definite yes.
Okay, there's a question here from Helia saying she would like to know about how regulation/legal framework impacts. For instance, here in Mozambique, MFI supervised by the central is not allowed to provide at the same time other services such as financial literacy and market leakages. I honestly don't understand the question. I'm hoping you do.
Yeah, I think I understand what he's trying to say. That
Okay.
if uh, it's the same in our country, like it's like in their own country, MFIs doing lending are not allowed to do financial literacy at the same time. That's not the case in Nigeria. Lapos model, we run what we call a credit plus, and we are particular and passionate about developmental change. It's not just give money and collect all the interest and go home. Our work is rooted in developmental work, and we want to see livelihoods build. We want to see sustainable livelihoods. We want to see transformation of these people. So we do what we call credit plus, and in that credit plus, we introduce trainings. We do financial literature. We do agricultural services, and then we follow up our people to ensure that they succeed in the money they take from us, and that's very critical for us. So I don't know if that's the same. Obviously, that's not the same. Maybe that's just the environment in Mozambique. But in Nigeria, we don't have such restrictions.
Okay, thank you so much, Tessa. For everybody on the call, like you have just heard her, Lapo currently operates in Nigeria and Sierra Leone. And as the years will come by, they would, extend their services to other parts of Africa. That doesn't mean that there are no funding opportunities for you. That is why you need to join the African Food Changemakers. If you are looking for funding opportunities immediately after this call, as you can hear my voice, immediately after this call, go onto our website, search for funding opportunities. You will see a list of funding opportunities there.
Exactly.
Wherever you are joining us from, whatever country, Malawi, Uganda, Kenya, wherever, there are opportunities there for you. So immediately after this call, go onto our website and search for funding opportunities so that you can, and I mean, you can only access it if you're a member. So you would see that when you click on it, it will ask you for your login details. So that means you need to, first of all, join our community. And my colleague has dropped the joining link on this chat box. Click on that link so that you can join our community and you don't miss out on these opportunities. For those in Nigeria and Sierra Leone, after the call between today and tomorrow, when we are sending the slides of this event and the recording, we will also see how we can share the contact information of Dr. Tessa so that you can reach out to her and, further discuss partnership opportunities and funding opportunities for your business. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Tessa. I can't even begin to express how much I appreciate your time with us. And
Thank you very much.
yes, thank you so much. I'm trying to put up my screen again so that we can proceed. So the next on our agenda now is a group photograph. So kindly turn on your video and put up a smile. Now is the time to turn on your video, not your audio, your video. Put up a smile and let us take a photograph together quickly. Put on a smile. Bob, your video is not on. We would like to meet you. All right, yes, fantastic. So I would like everybody to smile while the team takes a group photograph. Once you see this picture in your mailbox, share and let everybody on your social media know that you've just participated in this event. You can also take a screenshot with your phone and share on your social media platform. Okay, thank you so much, team members. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everybody for being patient with us and being with us from the beginning of today's session till now. Next month is October. Usually we would have our October session for Agrifunding, but instead we are joining our sister organization, the Sahel Consulting. We'll be joining them in their conference, the Sahel Food Systems Changemakers Conference. This is for everybody. The who and who in the African agri-food ecosystem will be present in this event, both physically and virtually. So if you are an African Food Changemakers member, make sure you register to join these events. My colleague will drop the registration link on the chat box now. Click on it to register and attend. So if you will not, since we will not be having our Agrifunding series next month, this Sahel Food Systems Changemakers Conference will take place over Agrifunding series next month. So don't miss it. The date is Thursday, 30th October 2025, time 9 a.m. West African time. And the theme of the event is Designing for Legacy, Building Resilient and Impact-Driven Food Systems. At that event, we would have policymakers, We would have funders, we'll have development organizations, we'll have entrepreneurs like yourself. We'll have everybody that contributes to the African agri-food ecosystem. You are welcome to come with your questions and insights and share with every other person at the event. And AFC will be there. I'll be looking forward to connecting with all of you at that event as well. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, then you have been missing out a lot. We have a lot of news for you, a lot of information for you that will impact your business. So go to our website and subscribe for our newsletters. We are also very active on all social media platforms. Go and search for us, African Food Changemakers, everywhere. You will find us on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, that we call X now. And follow us on all of these platforms so that you can see our news, you can see our updates, and every other thing that you need to know. Thank you so much for being part of, for participating at our September edition of Agrifunding series. Looking forward to meeting you at the Sahel Food Systems Changemakers Conference next month. Until then, I say well done and all the best in your business. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Cheers, everyone. Yes. Done. And the call.